Hello everyone, it's Ted again from Tap Sac, and today we're going to be playing Arena with a very specific deck strategy called Tempo. So what is Tempo? Tempo is a mix between an aggro and control deck, and it's called Tempo because we are trying to gain advantage over the opponent, and we do that patiently by casting small creatures at first to create pressure, and then whatever the opponent casts, we try to counter it or get rid of it so that our creatures can continue to attack. And over the course of the game, we try to create more value by only doing stuff at the end of their turn. Tempo is often seen in mono blue decks or blue red decks simply because they have lots of instants and counter spells that can react to the opponent's actions, and they also have lots of small creatures that can attack and deal pressure. So we've built a mono blue Tempo deck for standard, and we're going to take a look at it right now and play a few games. But before that, if you like our stuff, I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. It will help us a lot. Okay, so here is our mono blue deck list that I picked up online, and I've made some changes because I don't have all the cards, but I'll put the deck list on the description, and I'll also go through the cards right now so to explain why we put these cards in a Tempo deck. So as mentioned earlier, a Tempo deck needs some small creatures, and although this deck doesn't have a lot of creatures, they're all very cheap. So there are 4 copies of Ascendant Spirit. It's a snow creature that is 1/1 for blue, but if you use snow mana, you can slowly build up the power and toughness of this spirit from a 1/1 to a 2/3 to a 4/4, and then finally a 6/6 with flying, and can draw a card if you deals combat damage to a player. So again, the goal is to be patient and only activate this at the end of the opponent's turn when it's likely they'll not be doing any other things. And then over time, the spirit will be very big and can help us to win the game. We also have 4 copies of Delver of Secrets. It's a very popular Tempo card because it comes in on turn 1 as a 1/1, but if you reveal instant or sorcery during your draw step, then it becomes a 3/2 flyer, and once it becomes a 3/2 flyer, it can start attacking in every turn for 3 damage. And if you have 2 copies, it becomes very fast. It almost becomes like a 3 to 4 turn clock for the opponent to do something. So in Tempo, we have to prevent the opponent from casting spells and also getting rid of our creatures, and to do that we have lots of 1 mana tricks in instants that can either counter spells, or to protect our creatures. So one of it is Fading Hope. It's basically an unsummon with a scry 1 if the target is mana value 3 or less. So you can either do this to bounce back an opponent's creature that was just cast, or you can use it to protect your creature, return your creature to your hand to prevent it from being destroyed. And likewise, Slip Out the Back from the new Capenna set also has 2 purposes. One is to either protect your own creatures or to phase out the opponent's blockers so that you can swing in. So for mono blue Tempo, there are a lot of counter spells, and we'll go into that right now. So firstly, we have Spell Pierce, which can help to counter a non-creature spell unless they pay 2. Because it only costs 1 blue, is very good at countering. And we also have 3 copies of Drawery Disruption. It can counter any spell unless the opponent pays 1. The 1 is very small, but it can counter any kind of spell, so not just non-creatures or creatures. It can also serve as a tap land in case you need extra mana. Then we have 3 copies of Negate, just a quick direct counter spell for non-creatures. We have 4 copies of Essence Capture to counter creatures and also pump our own with a +1/+1 counter. And then just a single copy of Test of Talents in case for annoying instants and sorceries that have flashback, such as Memory Deluge. Or we also have 2 copies of Thirst for Discovery. This will help us draw cards in the late game. It costs 3, so we won't be casting this so soon, but it can help us to replenish our hand as we keep casting stuff. So let's look at some of the remaining creatures that we have in the 2 mana cost slot and 3 mana cost slot. We have 1 copy of Malevolent Hermit, which is a 2/1 for 2 mana. Decent. It can sacrifice itself to counter non-creature spell unless the opponent pays 3. And we have 2 copies of Spectral Adversary, 2 mana for 2/1 flying. So this is particularly great for tempo because it has flash, which means you can cast it at the end of the opponent's turn. So note, if the opponent is not doing anything, we want to cast it at the end of their turn so that we can attack in at the next turn. And lastly, 4 copies of Dream Shackle, guys. It is a bit on the high end at 3 mana cost, but 3/1 flying and can trigger an ability at the beginning of each of your combat steps. So you can either tap an opponent's creature or make one of their tapped creatures not untapped for 1 turn. Okay, so we're going to play some games now, and throughout the match I'll be talking about the decisions that I make and how we try to gain advantage and value over the opponent, and hopefully this will help you understand how a tempo deck works. Okay, up against Hogger. So we have a good opening hand. Ooh, we're going first, but we have no creatures for turn 1, turn 2, so I don't think we can keep this. Okay, this is better, but we have a bit too many creatures. Probably we'll get rid of one of the spirits. So turn 1 Delver, and please get an instant or sorcery in the next card. It's not. Wow. Not really our luck, isn't it? So let's attack. And I'm gonna save up Essence Capture in case it's a creature. Okay, so this isn't very good to counter, but it does hold them back by having a blocker, and also prevents them from drawing a card. So I think I'll still counter this. It also makes our Delver bigger, and still no instant or sorcery, unfortunately. But we can now cast our Spirit. So we're holding back on the 2 mana for negate or to activate the Spirit. Ooh, Naturalist is a big problem actually, because he can gain life very quickly. Weaver of Harmony, I can't counter that. So all I can do is just activate my Spirit. So what I'm worried about is opponent casting an enchantment that he can copy it with the Weaver. So that might be one reason why I won't activate the Spirit now, because that's what I'm worried about. So I'll just leave the Spirit as a blocker, attack with the Aberration, and then see what opponent will do. Okay, Generous Visitor is not something I can counter. Rune of Might. Okay, I might target it with the Slip Out the Back, make it phase out so that the rune doesn't come into play. And he can't attack for lifelink. Okay, but he has another Rune of Might. So he might draw a card. He will draw a card, and that is a problem. Okay, I'll let it go because I want to save the negate and I want to make my Spirit bigger. Okay, I'm probably not going to block because it will be a trade, which I don't want. The problem is the Naturalist. How do I stop him from gaining life? Ah, and we have that, Fading Hope. So I'm going to apply pressure now. I won't activate the Spirit because I want to save Fading Hope. Alright, I'll enter. See what they do. We have 2 more cards. Okay, we're putting the +1/+1 on there. And should I negate it? I think I should, because it is quite big. So opponent needs to gain life. We'll probably attack with the Naturalist and all of them. So to prevent that, I got a Fading Hope, the Naturalist. So this is what I meant by having a reaction to their action. Ooh, Borrowed Time. That is very good. So they could have used the Weaver with Borrowed Time to do double exile. But ooh, I can return a creature, enchantment, artifact, or planeswalker. Okay, so I'm down to 11 life. Opponent has a Naturalist in hand, but it's not on the board, so it can't gain life. So a lot of it will depend on what they cast next. So basically, it's whoever is luckier, unfortunately. We do have the Soaring City that we can bounce something back. Okay, opponent didn't have anything. If he casts a Naturalist, then they have a lifelinker, but no blockers in the air. So yeah, we managed to edge out the opponent, basically keeping pace. They are quite a fast and aggressive deck. So us being able to counter their stuff, this creature, and then phasing out the Naturalist, which was going to gain life, and then negating the Saga that was going to pump the creatures, and lastly bouncing Naturalist again with Fading Hope. So hope that was a good example of how we react to the opponent's stuff in a tempo deck, while we are also beating them down with the Aberration and our Spirit. Yeah. All right. Okay, Kuroneko. We're going first, but we have no creatures on turn 1. So let's try and mulligan this. Again, no creatures. Alright. So this is not a good opening hand for us, because we usually want a turn 1 play so that we can start applying pressure, but since we don't, opponent has not cast anything, which is good. In fact, the opponent is slower than us, so we have the tempo right now. Ooh, Scoot Swarm. This is a landfall deck. So good timing for us. We counter it and also pump out our Hermit. Alright, let's attack. And now there's an argument on whether we should leave up mana for Essence Capture or just cast the Geist. And I think right now I want to cast the Geist to apply more pressure. I still have Slip Out the Back in case I need to protect one of my guys, but Seeker's Chariot is great. I wouldn't have been able to counter that anyway. Ooh, Dream Shackle Geist again. Alright, so this is good because again we can use the guys to tap down 2 of their cats, and then our Hermit will be able to swing in for damage. But then again, maybe not, because yeah, we wouldn't be able to, I think. Because if we cruise it, then yep, I wouldn't be able to. I could slip out the back and make it phase out, but then it is a bit strange. So let's just be patient. Devouring tendrils. I could counter it. No, I can't because it would cost 3. But what I can do is just phase it out, maybe. So now he'll attack the chariot. He gets a copy. I'm not gonna block. Ooh, and I draw an island, which is not great. Oh, I should have. Oh, okay. I gotta tap down one, and then one doesn't untap the other on the untapped phase. I could have actually make 2 of the cats not untap in the next phase. Then that would have been better. But let's just swing, and then we leave up basically essence capture. Aha, alright, I'm gonna counter this by sacrificing the hermit. And then yeah, that'll be it, because they attack in for 4 damage maybe, but I have 7 damage in the air and they only had 2 life. So pretty nice tempo game. We countered the Scoot Swarm, pretty important. And also phased out our creature before the tendrils could destroy our Geist. So the guys help to tap down the creatures. It's a good tempo play. Unfortunately, the chariot can still be crewed when that happens, but because we were ahead of them in terms of life totals, we were able to stay ahead and maintain our advantage. We basically had to keep our guys alive. So with the Hermit that can counter non-creature spells and the Essence Capture that can counter creature spells, we are able to keep the game under control in a way. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that was a good example of how a tempo deck works. And the most difficult part is just piloting it. The cards are not difficult to get. So do try it out with some practice games and you'll get the hang of it by responding to the opponent rather than pushing your own creatures out so quickly. And it's also a very good skill to pick up for in Magic generally, because you will apply these skills and strategies for other formats and other decks as well. So yeah, I hope you like the videos, and do drop us a comment on what you think. Well, what kind of decks, what other kind of tempo decks are good. Maybe we could try it out on Arena. And if you like our stuff, also please subscribe. It will really help us a lot. And don't forget, you have a chance to win a free Crimson Vow set booster pack if you do so. Alright, check out our website tapandsac.com if you want to read more Magic stuff, and take care. We'll see you guys next time.